think that, especially kind of with the pressure of kind of getting out of school today and kind of having your, background ready and solid and ready to work, do you think that you can still have kind of that freshman year to explore, or you think it's really important to come like intentional into college with here's what I'm going to try to do?
I think like there's a balance to those two things. I think I know a lot of people who entered college knowing exactly what they wanted to do, and some of them were very successful with that mindset, and some of them were not as successful with their mindset because you're an 18-year-old and you really don't know that much about the world. That being said, like the flip side of like I also know friends who didn't know what they wanted to do when they entered, and they didn't know what they wanted to do when they exited. Like I think being intentional with starting in a space where you think it would be easy to pivot from is valuable. And that's part of the reason why I chose bioengineering, is because I may have not liked it, or it may have not been the best choice for me, but it gave me ample opportunity to be able to pivot into something I potentially could, whether that would have been computer engineering, which is what I did, or more biological sciences, more chemistry, or even like economics. Like starting from a platform and being intentional with the ability to be flexible is, I think, pretty valuable. But at the same time, being flexible is important.
Can you talk a little bit about how you navigated being from part-time and also working like on a co-op with F Prime and John Hancock, and how students can be able to transition from that into like working full-time? And like, can you talk a little bit about that and the challenges from that?
One of my mentors at F Prime, he always says like, he had this really cool anecdote when I joined full-time, and he was like, when you were a co-op and you were a student, you were taking classes, and because of that, like we were everybody on the team, whether it was right or wrong, always had this mindset in the back of their head that, hey, as a student, he'll probably have other things to do. Maybe we shouldn't bring him on this deal, or maybe we shouldn't bring him onto this project, or whatever it may be. But now that you are a full-time worker, that mindset still exists, because that's how like you started, and you are the one who has to be able to change that. You have to be able to understand that people might think that way, and throw yourself at anything that you can. So it in a certain sense, it's like you have to do some of the same things that you would have even if you hadn't had that internship. But you also have to be strategic with knowing, like, these people already. How can I leverage my skill set to help them as much as possible, while also helping them understand that I am here for as much exposure as I possibly could get.
And talking about that exposure, I'll hasten to guess, but was that kind of your reasoning to get involved with the F Prime FinTech Index, in a sense, as here's an engagement that is going to have a lot of weight? It's kind of new, groundbreaking. There's a little bit of risk, but if it works out well and you take on that risk, there's a lot of opportunity for you elsewhere.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I think so. That F Prime FinTech Index was like something completely different than what I had been doing as a co-op, and part of time into my full-time journey. And it was mainly different because it was focused on public markets, and we were looking at VC-backed companies that exited in the public markets, and we wanted to try to create a story on like what their public market performance meant for private fintech companies, as well as understanding how the journey of private fintech companies can get them to a position in, for example, our fintech index. And because of that, I had to change a lot of the ways I thought, as well as learn a lot of things about like index construction and stuff like that, which is something that I was not as familiar with. And like you had said, Brett, like I wanted to be exposed to those new things, because the way I think about life is like I want to be able to pivot and be as free as possible, and being able to get like another node on the tree to pivot even more is something that I find really valuable. So what I found the FinTech Index to be is like another node on the tree that was different than what I had already done. And because of that, I had like a large expansive tree on top of that node.
Yeah, so I guess would your advice be then to, as a young career person, try to get as much flexibility as possible? So like you talked about those nodes so that you can, in a sense, broaden your scope of ability?
Yeah, I think so. I think that is really important. But at the same time, like it goes back to the idea of balance, right? I think it is incredibly valuable to get as much of those nodes as possible, so you can be as flexible as possible, because you never really know what you might like and what you might not like, and what you might be impassioned by and what you might not be impassioned by. At the same time, like having direction is valuable. So like the world is this extraordinarily complex place with nodes all over the place that you could potentially look into. And some people look into all different directions of those nodes and try to like plant their flag in each of those nodes and expand out from there. But in my opinion, like looking in one subsect of those nodes is probably the most valuable use of your time, because the nodes within that subsect might be different. They're not that different from each other. They might be different, but they might be different enough for you to expand out, while also being similar enough for you not to get lost within that large expansive tree.
Going back onto like how a lot of investments are being funded by people that have a network, and going there, do you have any advice on mentorships and like how like a lot of people are able to secure a better position and also like secure themselves into a network because of mentorships? And how, like, do you have any advice for students that are trying to build that network and get into like a mentorship?
I think as the world gets like extraordinarily more complex and exponentially more complex, as it should because of the general network effect of it, like the most important thing is to be able to claim like some niche and being able to hold on to it, such that even if somebody who doesn't know you knows a lot about the world, say you're talking to a partner at a VC firm or something, you can claim that niche and maybe give some new information. I think the ultimate value add that you could give to a person for them to like you and help you proliferate your network is to be as genuine as possible. And in the process of being genuine, you also have to add some amount of value to that person. And in order to do that, you need to have like that niche understanding of some concept in the world. You don't have to be the only person who understands it, right? Because that would be very unlikely. But it has to be niche enough such that an average intellectually honest person would not really know as much about it. And I think being able to claim that niche, whether that be through Twitter or through Medium or through projects that you do or through creating a company or what you study, is incredibly valuable.